Hi there. My name is Dustin, and I'm looking to validate a hunch that there are too many options within Netflix's experience, which in turn creates choice fatigue and user anxiety within the user, forcing them to switch off or move to an alternate service. I've decided to conduct my research on how to create a better user experience for Netflix. With the rise of piracy and streaming services, the days of having the same titles recycled on TV was long gone. This allowed for us to have more choice in what to watch over the past decade, and with the removal of most piracy recently comes the paradox of choice within streaming services. The paradox of choice is one which produces paralysis rather than liberation, with more people finding it harder to decide when there are more options to choose from. This comes down to the fact of choosing one act over another creates fear of making the wrong choice, even when we are conscious of the other options will not disappear after one is picked. This means that the choice that we pick has reduced value, since there are the options that we should be doing for something else, and that it was the wrong choice, and that the wrong choice will haunt us with wasted time and effort. With less choice usually produces a higher rate of satisfaction. This is also backed up by the latest Nielsen audience report, with over 21% of viewers saying they simply gave up from watching altogether if they are not able to make up their minds. Despite the options, which are great, if there are too many, the options become nullified and the user will then search unique ways to change this, even if it means switching off. The user is more likely to navigate to an experience that has less options, and this may include the changing of the network, service, provider, program, or brand. With streaming services, emphasis on algorithms and individualized products means the paradox of choice becomes even more overwhelming, with having hundreds of shows and movies can make a decision-making process a lengthy one. The average US adult takes 7.4 minutes to select on a streaming services. Adults 18 to 34 take about 9.4 minutes, while 35 to 54 needs 8.4 minutes. Viewers 50 and older abandon discovery after about 5 minutes and just dive into something else. This means if it takes longer than 10 minutes to decide what to watch based off previous choices, one is likely to dive down the rabbit hole of choice and spending an inordinate amount of time to decide what to watch, whereby many will just turn off or go to sleep, which is a loss for everyone involved. This is why I've decided to research a simpler way to help remove choice paradox, as well as use the previously watched TVs and movies to procure a more accurate algorithm, as well as having less options available when searching for a title that is similar to one you are looking to watch. From this, it can be concluded that there is user fatigue and that the main menu needs to change, as well as having more abilities to remove or hide options that are not suitable to increase customization, such as removing small children's options or horror options or others that may not be to the viewer's liking. The storyboard was created to show that with a better user experience, the reduction of fatigue can be procured, and that the ability to get from the home screen to what one wants to watch can be sped up to avoid not watching in its entirety. Through this process, I discovered that the lean persona of the individual would be a 28-year-old Caucasian married male with one child who is working and will be called Mike. The research has been tailored to Mike and his family and various types of genres to support male, female, and children, as well as ways to entertain and educate. Mike works full-time and the family both watches Netflix separately and together with him, and they have one account which skews his data and shows him a myriad of options, including his wife's options, child's options, and his own options. When viewing without his family, he may find it challenging to find what he is looking for, as well as cause greater choice fatigue and stop him from watching shows and exploring new ones. From this, I decided to conduct the interviews which backed up the hunch, showing the users of various age, location, and genders all shared the same issues with choice overload, and in turn struggled to use the Explore option effectively, and in some cases would use other sources to find what they are looking for, or buy them outright, therefore paying twice. The research concluded that if there was an option to have an easier user interface, that they would be more inclined to explore the options available without having user paralysis and will therefore have a better experience. This can be backed up by Pacific Standard Magazine, who shared similar research showing that the more results, the fewer that were explored. Such an example of this is a variety of jams at a store. With the more options and flavors available, the fewer jams that were purchased overall. The instinct is to have more options available for users and guests. However, this decreases sales overall and in turn will decrease the want to watch, and the lessening of the want to watch will decrease the users' want to stay on the program or stay on the streaming services. What would be best is if there was more refined options available that are clearly defined and easily accessible. Through this, I decided to look at my low fidelity prototype, which was designed to see which would have the best user experience. There was one to break up the categories by subcategories, by actor or by year that it was made. This yielded the same issues as the original, and so they were abandoned for simpler versions in which there is a method to separate by TV and movies and from there into subcategories. Various low fidelity prototypes I created, including the one which I included in my presentation, seemed a little bit clunky, and although the idea was there wasn't a fast enough transition to get from point A to point B when doing categories. Further, the inclusion of having TV and movies from the start without a quick way to navigate from the outset yielded poor results. After testing with various designs, the designs came to a head where the option comes from the home page and from movies to subtitles on the side page and then subcategories. This allowed for a deep dive and having people that want more information and options available to them. However, on the flip side, it also removes choice overload by having options readily available which are not displayed in the mid-fidelity prototype. This means that there is less choice fatigue and there is the removal of titles and designs. Netflix's core foundation of having all these titles you can watch in a lifetime, as well as finding the balance of what you would like to watch, can be mediated by having a categories option in the main title setting, as well as having it on each page as a sorting option where you can easily manage and find what you are looking for without becoming fatigued. The results of the mid-fidelity prototype show a refined option and a much shorter process to get from the home menu to the subcategories. By making this the primary option on both the home page and the side menu, and then moving TV and movie sections into subsections to break it down further into subcategories, this allows for a much more seamless streaming option without taking away from Netflix's original choice selection. Furthermore, this allows for the reduction of the necessity in scrolling and allows for the freedoms as there was before, without sacrificing Netflix's usability and ability to show more. The categories are broken down into TVs and movies and can then be further refined as it needs to be improved to get a shorter option to get into the subcategories that may be of interest, as well as having the option to remove entire genres that are not relevant or ones which have been previously watched and not liked. This will adapt to Netflix's current algorithms to provide a more seamless user experience. The main differential post-research is that the lean persona that was originally envisioned, known as Mike, is actually a female, which I'll call Karen. And through my research, I found that although men and women, men tend to have more accounts, women have more subscription accounts, just slightly, and overall have a 51 to 49 ratio. This means that there are overall more women watching than men, and the times between watching are not too dissimilar enough to separate them even more than that. I believe that if Netflix changes its ability to sort, remove, and organize, that it'll allow for a much more seamless and enjoyable user experience, remove choice fatigue, and allow for a more seamless viewing experience. Thank you.